Being a dirty, degenerate PC gamer practically my entire life, there's one statement that I truly love to live by, said by a great man, and that person is Gabe Newell, where he said piracy is not a pricing problem, it's a service problem. And that has been more true today than ever before, especially in the case of Nintendo. We have seen this company do more things inside the courtroom than actually make their own games. Oh! The inability for this company to go around and file copious amounts of patents in order to take down Palworld in the first place really goes to show what they're actually doing. And on top of that, at the same time, trying to basically control the entire gaming industry, even with those patents, because once you file something, you have to defend it. And if you don't, that patent is then defunct. We've also talked about on this channel how Nintendo has gone around and created very vague sort of TOS rules where they've gone through and actually bricked Nintendo Switch 2 consoles, thereby making you buy another console in order to play more of their games, increasing those sales. See, they didn't ban the actual account, they banned the box instead, which means once you buy another one, you're still good to go. And by extension, people trading in their old broken Switches, which are bricked, into used game stores, and then people buying those used game Switches, reducing the amount of actual used consoles on sale. People more scared about buying a brick Switch than they would be spending their money buying a brand new one. Isn't that a funny way of thinking about things when you put it all together now, isn't it? But it gets even crazier because Nintendo's love of litigation really knows no bounds. We're back even in 2021, a person named Gary Bowser, no, I'm not kidding, that was his actual name, agreed to pay Nintendo $10 million in a hacking lawsuit. And this was actually back for the Nintendo Switch 1, where Team Executor was putting out mod chips for the original Switch in order to go through and apply pirated software onto that platform. There was also last year as well, and even just recently, another case that happened where another person who was streaming on different multiple platforms was in fact taunting Nintendo in order to say, hey, I'm going to keep pirating your games, I'm going to keep streaming them day one, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, it turns out he now also has to pay $7.5 million towards Nintendo as well. And there was even another case that happened back in 2024 as well, where Nintendo in fact gave the Switch pirates a chance to walk away, but they apparently refused. They've also went ahead and taken down Ryujinx and Yuzu emulators as well in multiple court cases, and gone through and taken that code specifically for their own ownership. MU Paradise, that thing is basically all done. Vim's Lair, yeah, that's pretty much gone too because of Nintendo. They no longer host any Nintendo actual products on those emulated websites, and so many other places are getting caught in the crossfire of Nintendo's legal eye. And it gets even worse because now Nintendo is going after Reddit. You see, back in 2024, last year as well, Nintendo filed court documents to target a 200,000 member subreddit called Switch Pirates. Now, this is actually incredibly important because this subreddit is exactly what happened yesterday, as we get into that story as well, because more, in fact, has developed. But as you can see, Nintendo is no stranger to litigation and also to just spending a ton of money on court fees. It's almost like they kept raising the prices of their games just to pay for those legal fees and the court costs. And I know some people are going to be saying like, Alex, those people deserve it. They were stealing the intellectual property of Nintendo and then placing it on the internet for others to see and use and not give Nintendo their hard-earned money in cash. We're really talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has gone through and done everything to destroy any sort of preservation inside the gaming space whatsoever. They've purposely gone through and shut down multiple storefronts, multiple platforms that they in fact own, and even then chose to not provide you other ways of accessing the IPs that they also purposely have in order to go through and charge you more money for that sort of remaster or remake, and then re-release it back to you in a more expensive state, but also in a limited format, creating far higher ways of actual scalping, paying more for those actual products where Nintendo doesn't make that extra money, and even then the secondhand market being completely insane trying to find any old pieces of hardware or IP or games. So, tell me again why this is a good thing? Now, if you know me, I 100% absolutely love piracy. I completely endorse it 100%. every single time. I've always felt that piracy in this digital age is in fact the true sense of ownership. These companies cannot remove that game from your library. You can back it up in any sense of way that you want. And even then, places like GOG do have games that get delisted as well, just like what happened with Metal Gear on that website. You can't find it there anymore, but other ways you can, which is kind of funny when you think about it. You can look at other companies as well, like Blizzard, where they did Warcraft 3 Reforged, and they removed the original Warcraft 3 available for purchase, and you can't find it anywhere. The only way to actually play that game now originally is through, in fact, piracy. And you can see it happen more and more in this space, where so many developers and especially publishers do not care about preservation. They only care about the actual bottom dollar, where Ubisoft even said it themselves. You don't own anything, you simply own the license to the thing. And that's even with a physical copy, especially in today's day and age with massive amounts of DLC, updates, and everything else. The 1.0 game on the cart or the disc is nothing compared to what you get after all the updates when the title is actually done and completed, usually about a year after release. So no, I will not take this excuse of, oh, if you buy it, you own it. You literally don't. Not even in the physical sense with many of these things right now. And I think that's the scariest thing of all. So yes, that is why I absolutely feel that piracy is in fact morally correct. But let's see what actually happened though, because like I said last year, Nintendo went through and filed court papers for that subreddit, and things got a little bit spicy yesterday when everything went off the rails. Nintendo currently predicting 2024 net sales of $8.4 billion and operating profits of $2.4 billion is continuing its furious crackdown on those modding or emulating its systems and games. Its latest target via a story by GameFile is the Reddit sub Switch Pirates, while also asking to subpoena information from a vast array of companies, including Reddit, to identify those involved in so-called pirate shops. The Japanese company, which made $16 billion in 2021, is making this move as a follow-up to its case against a subreddit modderer, James Archbox Williams, claiming it has discovered that many others are involved in the alleged piracy and want to identify them by gaining access to business records from Cloudflare, Discord, GitHub, Google, and Reddit, along with domain companies Namecheap, GoDaddy, and Tucows. According to the court filing, the manufacturer of the $77 billion lifetime revenue Switch console learned various details about the pirate shops and about defendants' involvement in them. The document, in fact, goes on by saying this. Among other things, we learned that defendant was active in numerous Discord servers related to the pirate shops. We also learned that defendant was the primary moderator of the Switch Pirates Reddit community and apparently was the owner of a GitHub account directly tied to these activities. In nearly all of these capacities, defendant operated as Archbox, or a close variant of the name. In the course of our investigation, we also became aware of multiple other online actors who appear to have a role in the pirate shops. However, we were unable to determine the identity of locations of these other actors with a sufficient degree of certainty to name them in the initial complaint. Nintendo of America thus did not include these individuals in the lawsuit, with the expectation that ordinary discovery would reveal the identity and location of these actors. So them boys were going after everybody and everything. They were trying to send documents to Reddit, to every other actual cloud service available for you guys in hosting websites, and even trying to find out the real life name of this guy in the first place to go ahead and send him direct subpoenas and then put his ass in jail, or even then fine him a ton of money. Like this shit is absolutely wild to me, how Nintendo has this insane, egregious ability to go through and do this kind of behavior. They did the exact same thing to Ryujinx, where they basically just knocked on some guy's door and were like, hey, guess what? Check it out. And the next day, that shit's gone. This is honestly a complete overreach in any conceivable fashion in terms of what a company and corporation should be able to do with, quote, their IP in the first place. If you're going to put out a product to sell, that's one thing. At the exact same time, though, what this company has done is gone through and restrict what is able to be purchased in the first place, and then get mad at you when you take it into your own hands to do it. We've seen it right now, that the fact that people do not own enough of anything, and also the fact that they're being charged charged more than ever before is having piracy become more on the rise. This is in fact a war Nintendo is not going to win, no matter how many people they try to sue into the ground of money that they're never in fact going to get. This is not about Nintendo making money off of lawsuits. This is about Nintendo trying to send a message, getting in their Joker arc if you want to be real about the entire thing. This company has done everything they possibly can to put on a brand new, fun-faced little facade while at the same time turning around and putting a knife in the back of every single person that literally supports them. And again, the simplest thing for Nintendo to do is simply make their products available for purchase in more places. I don't understand why it's so difficult for them to do this in the first place. It's like they're that one kid who says, no, this is my toy and only my toy, and the only way you're going to play with it is the way that I deem you acceptable of playing with that actual toy. No, that's not how this works. We're all adults here. If you don't want to give me the product, well, guess what? They're not going to pay for the product, and they're going to find other ways of actually getting that product in the first place. Nintendo is completely archaic in every sense of the word, and what they're doing right now, like I said before, is trying to stomp out any bit of piracy or semblance of it to try to have some kind of control. And we've talked about their amount of control in the gaming space already, especially with the patents they filed against Palworld that could definitely impact so many other games and even future games right now in the medium itself. This isn't about Nintendo stopping piracy, and you guys are so bad for not giving Nintendo your money. This is about a company and corporation wanting to control the entire gaming sphere and having their hands in everything, rather than going through and just providing you a simple product and saying, oh, you want to play your game on the PC? Here's the copy of it on the PC. Simple as that. They'd make more money than ever, because if it was in fact a money problem, they would put their game on every platform. And don't give me that thing about like, oh, but they're console sales. There's enough Nintendo simps out there that would literally go through and buy tons of Switches. You've got guys like Nintendo Prime buying a ton of Switch 2s and giving them out to their own community. You got people going around having walls of the exact same Switch console, just a different color, because it was in fact a different color. These kinds of people all exist, and this company knows that those people are going to be there. The literal Disney adults of Nintendo, the worst kind of adults to in fact interact with. And if you think I'm wrong for whatever reason, Nintendo is a company that sold you fucking cardboard. Twice. They sold you cardboard for Labo, and they sold you cardboard again for the Virtual Boy. So I don't know what else to tell you, bro. But besides that entire wild tangent, it turns out that the Reddit moderator was listening to other people on Reddit and made a really, really bad decision. According to VGC, Nintendo is seeking $4.5 million in damages from a Reddit moderator accused of copying and distributing pirated Switch games, as well as the means to play them. According to a document filed with the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington, as spotted by Oatmeal Dome on Blue Sky, Nintendo is asking for a default judgment on James Williams, known online as Archbox, after he failed to respond to a lawsuit filed last year. So yeah, I guess whenever you want to go on r/legal advice and you listen to the people on Reddit themselves telling you, oh, just bro, don't even show up, it's all going to be good, they can't do anything to you. Well, apparently now they got your actual fucking name, and at the same time, they got all your fucking information because they filed a suit against him. And you know, oh man. That entire article we talked about from Kotaku and GameFile from last year, just a little bit ago on this video, that's the same Archbox that we see now who decided not to go to court. Brother, the least that you could have done was try to lawyer up and be like, bro, do any kind of defense. Do the Chewbacca defense. I don't care. Do something to protect your behind from getting caught by Nintendo in the first place. You saw what they did to that other guy. 10 million in one spot, 7.5 in the other, 4.5 in the other place. Why are we going to go ahead and risk it right now? But apparently, it still gets worse. Nintendo states that since 2019, Williams has been either directly or indirectly the owner, manager, operator, creator, administrator, supplier, and or overseer of several online pirate shops, and has worked to actively promote these pirate shops to communities consisting of many thousands of individuals, it said. Nintendo also states that Williams was a leading, if not primary, moderator of the Switch Pirates Reddit group, which eventually grew to 190,000 members, claiming that he posted thousands of messages on the group page, including asking for donations of Nintendo eShop gift cards so he could buy more Switch games to pirate. Okay, all right, I gotta stop because as I was reading that entire section for the video, it popped into my head. Nintendo is making this guy out to be like the piracy version of Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. I'm the one who pirates. I'm the one who knocks. Like that. Sitting there making this dude sound like he's some sort of mastermind manipulator behind the scenes. Oh, he had Reddit posts. Oh, he had websites. He was telling people to go there and ask for donations, which is the stupidest thing you possibly can do. Basically just admitting to everybody, hey, look at me. Guys, give me the money so I can pirate the game and then put it on the website. You don't do that. Clearly, he wasn't a mastermind at all. Like that's, Oh my God. And sure, just because I promote piracy in the sense of actual ownership, it doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and ask for donations telling you guys I'm going to buy the game, pirate it, then give it back to you. That's stupid. Typical Reddit behavior, like absolute Redditor behavior. Like I just can't. I just honestly can't. What a literal embarrassment of the piracy community. But it continues. The complaint claims that Williams operated, owned, or administered at least 4 pirate shops and was involved in numerous others, some of which offered pro tiers for donating eShop gift cards, which would in turn offer access to other games not publicly available. It says that Williams was the primary representative and only lead member of Missing Dumps, an online community focused on receiving eShop gift cards to essentially fill the gaps in pirate shops by buying games that hadn't been pirated yet. And this is where I think things get really sticky in the form of actual piracy. What I've noticed consistently with so many other companies and places and people that get caught down by Nintendo is either one of two things. Either A, they distribute the actual material that Nintendo owns for actual ROMs and or emulators, or B, they try to charge some really wackadoo ass tier or try to get money while going through and having that process continue. That's what I've noticed, the two things that happen where Nintendo cracks down the most on a lot of people and or companies that do this. It's either the fact that money has changed hands or the fact that it is being some sort of like distribution center where they're putting on like the crystal blue meth that everybody wants to have in the first place. Honestly, all of this could have easily been fixed if Nintendo simply saw their product as just that, an actual product, where if they would simply say, hey, we're going to put our games on multiple platforms, we're going to go ahead and put our products available for purchase, and also we're not going to try and price gouge you with variable pricing on a consistent basis, this could actually be curbed quite a lot. In fact, it happened directly with Valve when they opened up into the Russian market. In fact, this was back in 2011 when Valve started getting into the Russian market in general, where Russia was a massive haven for piracy in the first place. And you can clearly see the success that it had in that market directly simply by offering a better alternative for pirates and a cheaper alternative for piracy as well. Again, proving that piracy is not a price problem, but in fact a service problem. And I think that's what Nintendo is in fact missing, spending all those millions of dollars trying to sue people into the ground for money that they're never in fact going to get back, just to put people into the poorhouse because they wanted to pirate a couple of video games, really goes to show Nintendo has no clue why the piracy happens in the first place and doesn't plan to do anything about it and is just trying to stomp it all out. When in reality though, piracy is like Hydra. You cut off the head of one snake and 3 appear in its place. But unfortunately, the article in fact has not a great story because things are not going to get really great for Archbox at all, saying Nintendo has asked for a permanent injunction on Williams' actions as well as monetary damages of $4.5 million, claiming that Williams has engaged in the infringing and unlawful reproduction and distribution of hundreds of thousands of copyrighted Nintendo Switch games, and that through pirate shops has distributed or facilitated the distribution of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of unauthorized copies of such Nintendo Switch games. Nintendo says that previous statements made by Williams online, including one instance where he wrote that, quote, most of us who hacked our Switch are, like you said, pirates and aren't going to give Nintendo $50 for a game, prove that his conduct was willful and that plausible allegations of willfulness are all that is required on a motion for a default of judgment. Now, this is where things get, in fact, incredibly scary. What Nintendo is now doing is saying, hey, because of what this guy said online, either on a Reddit post or just in general, we can just go ahead and file for this in the first place because he's going to be liable because he clearly said, hey, he's not going to give us any money for the games and pirates aren't going to do it either. So we have the actual correct authority to go ahead and file for these damages simply by the fact that he didn't even show up to court. Granted, that was stupid of not even just showing up to court or even contacting Nintendo in the first place, or even just saying, hey, let me just fold this down, take the L, and then silently make another one where nobody, in fact, would honestly know what's going on, and stop posting on fucking Reddit in the first place. This is the problem that we see all the time in this space. People get a little bit too big for their britches and start trying to say how great they are at piracy or doing anything else in that space, and then going around and getting caught. And you know what? Tell me you haven't seen it. You've noticed that people that actually finally get caught by doing the bad thing that they shouldn't be doing aren't because they got caught doing the bad thing. It's because they reached too far and tried to make too much money all at once, and they got greedy. And I really think Archbox himself basically just got greedy, and instead of just lawyering up like he should have, he just listened to Reddit lawyers instead. And now he's facing a $4.5 million lawsuit coming down his way that he's basically just never going to pay off, and really put a huge damper on the piracy community in the first place. So, way to go, brother. Good job. But again, this isn't all about the fact that this guy totally screwed the pooch. What this is about, though, is how Nintendo's overreach in this space is honestly getting out of control, with the fact, like I said, their legality, the patent filings, going through and getting all that information and filing legal court documentation for things like Reddit, GoDaddy, GitHub, and everything else. None of that stuff is in fact good. The amount of control that this company is trying to exert on the gaming space in general, instead of actually just providing the content for people that actually want to pay for it or put it on the space with an agreeable price, is really just honestly insane. I can guarantee you Nintendo is spending more money on legal fees and filing these sort of lawsuits and injunctions in the first place than they are just making the fucking PC port of the game and charging 40 fucking bucks for it in the first place. It'd be the easiest thing in the world for them, but I guess they want to do things a hard way instead. But it's not going to end well for them. Sure, piracy may be curbed down over time because of this, and things may go back to underground websites, but it's still going to exist, and it's still going to be a problem for them. Again, piracy is not a pricing issue, it's a service issue. And even then, sometimes a service is in fact the price, especially when you do variable pricing in the first place. Nintendo is no saint in this whatsoever. Even though Archbox himself is pretty fucking stupid, Nintendo, in my opinion, does in fact act way too litigious in way too many things. And honestly, I feel it's going to end badly for them. They're either going to be spending way too much money, filing all these lawsuits that people are just going to be catching one or two people at a time, or at the same case, they're just going to go ahead and spin their wheels consistently, as we're going to keep seeing these stories continually pop up and nothing happens to them in general. Because I guarantee you, the second a Switch 2 emulator comes out, they're going to lose their shit, and it's going to be too little too late, because once that thing is on the internet, it's basically there forever. And no matter what they try to do, it's always going to crop up and show up in some way, in some dark corner, and they're never going to stomp it out completely. And instead of just doing that in the first place, what they should figure out is, how do we get those people, instead of pirating our games, into becoming paying customers? And that's the thing they don't want to focus on. That's the aspect they don't want to actually do. What they want is to capture as much money as possible from every person as possible, regardless of whatever your situation in fact is, without offering better pricing, without offering better services, without offering other ways to play their games. And that's the issue. I guarantee you people want to play and want to give money to Nintendo because those games make people happy, and that's not a bad thing. I can definitely guarantee that. But the problem is, if they don't want to put their games on the platform that I want to play on, or they don't want to put their games on the platform that people want to play on, then they're going to have to deal with that problem in the first place, and it's going to keep happening to them over and over again. This is going to be the Disney effect. They're going to lose more than they are by going to gain, because it's going to start impacting people in a negative way all over time. Not just customers that don't want to pay, but not customers that in fact could be paying or will pay in the future. I feel like Nintendo is burning their bridge way too many times with way too many people. And you're going to have that hardcore base that will always support them, but I feel like they're going to be bleeding out and hemorrhaging so many others instead of just trying to bring more people to their platform and to their games in the first place. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section down below. Is Nintendo right? Is Nintendo wrong? I want to hear what you have to say. And honestly, yar har fiddle-dee-dee, being a pirate is so fun to be. When you're a pirate, everything's free. You are a pirate. And if you liked today's video, thank you. And if you didn't like it, fuck you. If you want to see more of this kind of content, though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 95,000 subs, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. And if you don't want to pay the buck, Don't even sweat it. Come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel, where every single live stream I wear a banana suit and get insulted by AITTS. Oh, and if you actually want animated emotes, make sure to download the Better TTV emote on your browser, and you can have emotes for free. You're basically just pirating them from me. Don't worry, I'm not going to sue you. But with all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!